Welcome in everyone to the Vendetta Sports Daily Show. Today is Wednesday, June 7th, 2023. First time you're seeing me and my main man Griffin here on the Daily Show. Griffin, how we doing today, man?
I'm doing good today, Germani. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been kind of muggy over here. I have a window right next to my setup, so it's been like really cloudy and just like bad weather. So I mean, this kind of
Yeah.
has me like I feel like in terms of weather, like it really like affects us emotionally. I'm more of like the sunshine. Like if it's June, I want the sun shining and all that stuff. But other than that, like I've seen that there's been like some good basketball and stuff going on. So like there's a couple things we're going to be talking about going into this edition of the show. But other than that, I'm pretty good.
Yep.
All right, cool. So we'll dive into just the NBA stuff right away. We're talking about Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight between the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat. Going back to Miami, Miami stole Game 2, and for I kind of did myself a disservice not being able to watch the entire game, but I did see that it was a nail biter all the way to the end. So, Griff, I'm not sure if you were able to take in the game, but I want to hear your thoughts about the series going back to Miami right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting spot right now, especially just like coming back 1-1, and we thought the Heat were going to go down 2-0 in the series at first, and I was thinking that, and then Duncan Robinson just came on fire and kind of really evolved as a player in the matter of minutes in that I think 10-minute span where he scored like 12 points and just he was actually cutting and not being a straight shooter, and I mean that saved the Heat, and it's kind of like we've seen the entire series that those players just have kind of stepped up for them. And in those big moments, Gabe Vincent with 20 plus points. And I mean, if they can get all their guys around, I can see the Heat going up 2-1 right now. But I mean, Jokic, I feel like the thing with that I said earlier in the Slack chat is the Heat can't play Jokic or as kind of a pass first guy. And like what they did on in last game is exactly what they want to do. Because if you take Jokic out of just his passing and his main just kind of focal point of getting everyone involved, and that's the biggest thing with the Nuggets. He's kind of like their heart and soul, and just surrounding him with shooters like Murray, Porter, Gordon can create offense, and KCP and all those guys. And that's like the big kind of idea that the Nuggets want, and the Heat really shut that down. And that's I think how they were able to stay in the game without it kind of being a blowout. And that's how they went on those kind of just keen runs at the end of the game. So I think if the Heat can control Jokic and put him more as a scorer, then I think that's a big W for them, and they can win this series.
That's some really good key points. I did see that Jokic had himself 41, and I think they'll live with that, just like the Nuggets will kind of live with Bam taking 20 to 25 shots. But
Mhm.
it was something that's been like a topic of discussion for a lot of people, even us over here in the Slack, talking about like how people were at first going to grow to not appreciate the series and kind of like I know Jerry, resident Nuggets fan, along with Garrett, he said like real NBA fans are going to enjoy the series, and
Mhm.
I feel like it's kind of how a lot of people wouldn't envision it. It's like you wouldn't want it to be such a like cut and dry kind of non-competitive series, and even Hannah fan even said as much, saying even if the Heat were going to go down fighting and like
Mhm.
leave with like put everything out on the court. And it's funny because hearing that like Duncan Robinson, just the other guys for Miami going on like their own little like personal runs and doing the extra stuff has been so like it's pretty much like Bucks fans, Knicks fans, and Celtics fans can all just point at the screen and be like, they're doing the thing again. They're doing the thing again when they're just not missing and they're like the other guys are going crazy. So
Mhm.
I feel Denver is too good not to be able to figure it out. I mean, in terms of what they need to do, like they're such a good team, just even like moving without the ball. So I feel like having Jokic be that main guy, you still have Murray who can still create his own shot, and guys who can still like they'll be able to figure it out the way those guys cut and the way those guys are able to move the ball, like in terms of ball movement, getting guys open for open shots. Miami zone has been like just really good throughout like these last two rounds that I've seen,
Mhm.
especially with the Boston series, forcing guys to kind of take uncomfortable shots. And if I don't know how much more successful they'll be with making Jokic a scorer, but I mean, if you're going to allow him to erupt for nearly 50 this time out, I'm not sure. But I mean, again, Miami's found their way here, so they got to get that respect. So I'll ask you this, um, like since I really haven't ever gotten like kind of like your side of like how this series is gonna go. It seems to me like you have Miami taking this series, but like kind of like what do they need to do going forward? Because they got momentum. They took one on the road.
I mean, I don't know if I directly have Miami taking the series. I think it's just
But you
so
have like you think they
unpredictable.
have a good chance.
I think they have a great chance at doing it, but it's just almost a coin flip. It just whoever shows up at that night, and I think that's what the whole story has been for the Miami Heat this entire postseason. And I know as two Boston fans, we kind of had the wrath of Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, and whoever, and it's just been those guys who really step up in the playoffs. And I feel like that's just the matter of like what it all comes down to. And I mean, if you take the Celtics for a hand, like Malcolm Brogdon didn't step up, Jalen Brown didn't step up. We could be in this situation right now if they had two good games, like two normal games. But I mean, it's basketball and anything can happen, especially in just like the NBA playoffs. And I mean, that's what the Heat are doing right now. And they just got to stick with their kind of leading through their role players and maybe take a little bit less stress off Bam, I feel like, just because he's guarding Jokic on that defensive end. And I feel like kind of go after Jamal Murray almost like on in terms of defense, because I know he's not the greatest defender, but I think you got to get like one of your keen guys off Aaron Gordon right now, because I feel like he's just been that kind of just stopper in the playoffs, like with LeBron, with Cat, and just everyone else. And I feel like now just try and use like a pick and roll, pick and pop with like Jimmy and just get him on Murray or just away from Gordon. Because if Jimmy's not putting up like good numbers every night, I really don't see any faith in the Heat right now. So I think it just comes down to how you really attack the Nuggets defense and even play your own zone defense itself, because zone can always do well, but it's gonna break at one point, and the Nuggets are going to figure it out. So I think it's just stepping up in those just certain aspects of the game.
I think what I saw in game one in comparison to what I saw in game two, when they were attacking the zone, obviously it took them a little bit to figure it out, but obviously it makes it a lot easier when you have like the best passing big man in the league. You just have him in the middle part of the floor, and then guys are still moving around, and then just surrounding him with such efficient, such good shooters like a Jamal Murray who can even go and get his own shot off. I would say for this, even the last two series with Jimmy's kind of not had like that Jimmy G buckets game that like we seen even as long ago as the 2020 finals when he put up like a 40-point triple double against the Lakers, and then even going back to Milwaukee when he was like, give me the ball and I'll ring off for like 15 straight or something like that. And I
Mhm.
think it's really in terms of the length, because with the switching Robert Williams onto him and him not being like the greatest or not wanting to be a 3-point shooter at times, but he can still knock him down. But it seems like ever since he's been to Miami, he's tried to kind of limit his 3-point attempts. And I feel
Yeah.
at least going into these last two rounds, the length of Robert Williams and now the length of Aaron Gordon, who can also defend pretty well on the perimeter, has really kind of got him into I wouldn't even say a slump, because he's still been putting up decent numbers, but he hasn't. It seems like he hasn't been himself at times. So
Yeah.
just like that point that you made about him getting like having him switched off of Aaron Gordon, that's like I 100% agree with that. But I feel like game three is going to be fun. Like I feel
Mhm.
it just like added rejuvenation of not even added rejuvenation, but just how good or how much energy they're going to be going back, because they're going back with momentum. So now they're going
Yep.
in. Denver's going into enemy territory, but I feel Denver may sneak out a win, but I feel like it's going to be a really good game though.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Denver will kinda bounce back in either one of these games. I think it ends up being 2-2, like, going back to Denver for game 5. But, I mean, right now, I think it's just anyone's games, like we said before, and, I mean, both these games have been pretty close, except for I feel like game 1 was kind of a blowout, but Heat were starting to kinda crawl back towards the end, and, like, they still have a fight in them in any game, and I feel like as a Celtics fan, we can definitely just say this: when we were up, they were always coming back, and I mean, you just can't have a Grant Williams moment where they just talk shit and just have them really kind of have that spark of energy, and you gotta have, like, push the Heat when they're, like, just down and defeated and really kinda run them into the water.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that I've seen throughout, like seeing this Miami Heat team, like their biggest strength, but also can be their biggest weakness, is their 3-point shooting,
Mhm,
because like that was like a key factor for them in the Boston series. They shot over like 40% from three, like those first three games, and I think they were still hovering around that mark, even in those on the next three games when they lost. It's just like for them, even in game one, they started out like they did not like their other guys just like Struess won like 0 6 from three. You had
mhm,
Martin who won like I think he shot like 2 of 11, but like he missed all his 3 pointers. And like that's the biggest thing. If the 3 point shot isn't falling for them, that's when they get in trouble. So but that's happened a lot more often than it hasn't for them anyway. So that's why
mhm,
they're in the position they're in now. And it's interesting to see because um like I feel like Miami, it's kind of like I even said this to Hannafan, like the eighth seed, like these guys have proven that the playoff format for the NBA, not the fact that it works, but like it's not going to get changed anytime soon. I know a lot of people may not be a fan of how many people are making the playoff, or how many teams are making the playoffs, or like they kind of like want to switch up the formatting a little bit, but it's
mhm.
always like I even said Hannafan, just like the talent level of the increased talent level of like today's NBA, a lot more lower seeded teams could find themselves upsetting a lot of the higher seeded teams going into the next couple of years. But going into game three, I would say what's something you feel what's something you feel both teams need to address in order to try to take game three.
I mean, I think I already just covered him. Just Jokic. I think Jokic can't be just a scorer, and I think he needs to get Porter and Murray a lot more into the game, even though they've been a very like valuable piece. But that's how you're gonna, I think, beat the Heat. And coming from the Heat, I think you really just have to lock down on defense again, and that's like just get stops on the perimeter for the Nuggets. And I feel like that's kind of eliminate their efficient shooting. And I know it's kinda hard to say in a sense because if you have Jamal Murray and Porter just lighting it up from 3 every game and they're hot, they're not missing. And I think put a body on Jokic, put a body on Porter and Murray, and I think if you get under their skin a little bit, they're gonna crack soon. So I think that's the Heat's gonna have that dog mentality in them like they've had all playoffs, all season, and I think that's how you win a game.
Okay, so just to kind of wrap up, because I mean it's starting to get to like the tail end of the season, so we've got to just wait for game three to tip off at 8:30. But I don't know if you addressed it already, but you have Nuggets or Heat taking game three tonight.
I think Nuggets take game 3.
Nuggets take game three. Okay, interesting. We're gonna talk. Okay, so now changing gears, talking a little bit about some offseason stuff, and actually still staying on the topic of the Heat. But Damian Lillard had an interview today. For the life of me, don't remember who he spoke with. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Look at this dang article. All right, so he spoke to Showtime Sports, and they asked him the question: out of these hypothetical trades, what would be one he would be for? It was, I believe, between Boston, New York, well, the Knicks, I believe Brooklyn as well, and Miami. And so he decided to go with the Miami Heat in terms of which of the teams he would like to get traded to. I wanted to get your thoughts of just like the whole like kind of like Damian Lillard, Portland Trailblazer saga. Do you think he gets traded? Do you think it's just kind of like one of those moments that like he's had the last couple of years where he wants to get traded, but then doesn't want to get traded at the same time? So I just want to like, get your 2 cents about that.
Oh, I mean, this is such a hard topic, and I feel like just to the whole Dame, just like if he wants to be traded or not. And I know I talked about it with James a few weeks back and just trade destinations where he could, because we talked about the NBA draft lottery. Because Portland does have the number 3 pick, and I feel like that's what you've got to understand with Dame. And I think it's more of you got to keep him right now because he's still a great player, and I know he's had injury concerns in the past, but you've built this whole team around him, and you have Shaden Sharp, you have all those guys, Jeremy Grant, Nurkic, Anthony Simons. And I think you have the pieces to the puzzle right now, and I think it's just a matter of staying healthy and just kind of being efficient with Dame and knowing how to build around him. Something like the Timberwolves don't know how to do with Anthony Edwards, but I think you don't trade him, and I think you trade that number 3 pick for a potential kinda either most likely a small forward who can just coexist with Dame right now and be kind of almost a scorer, like not Jalen Brown. Like I don't want to trade him, obviously, but he's the only name that really comes to mind. But I don't think you can like right now get too much for like Dame in terms of just like if you want to rebuild or kind of exist with the team that you have right now. Because I feel like if you start to rebuild, you're kind of hurting Nurkic's future, Simon's future, Shaden, and maybe even like some of those guys that come to Portland. And I know it may give them like a chance, but you're realizing you're getting a ton of people just there at once, and I think it might just hurt the whole development of the team.
I could see that. I could see like from what it looks like they're trying to they're still kind of caught in the middle because you still have an all NBA caliber player in Damian Lillard.
Mhm.
Um I my thing is just like because it seems like with that number 3 pick, they may just go with Scoot Henderson. And then from
Mhm.
my understanding, the kid's built like a running back and he's
Yep, it is.
and kid's 6'4". And then I believe Simons isn't really any taller than that, or might even be shorter than that actually. And then you have Dame. So I feel if you go with Henderson, then I think that kind of like then you have kind of like a I would say like a logjam at the guard positions. And
Mhm.
I would say, I mean, I feel like the way the kid's built, he can play a pretty good shooting guard anyway, unless he's already a shooting guard. But I see I see your point about like kind of being detrimental to the rest of the guys there. But I think if you trade Dame, then you trade a lot of those guys who are kind of like were a part of that Dame window when CJ was still there. Like you would trade Nurkic. You may keep Simons just to kind of pair him up with Scoot, kind of be like his CJ McCollum to Scoot's Damian Lillard, if that's like the route they would want to go with. But I could see them getting something for like guys like Nurkic and maybe Sharp if you're looking to move him. But I would say just don't get caught in between. I'm not sure how good like keeping Dame around and then pairing him up with say a Scoot Henderson if he falls to the 3rd pick. But I can definitely see them trying to move the pick first because I don't think they want to trade Dame until
Mhm.
like Dame legitimately says I want to get traded.
Yeah.
And my thing with all that is that I don't think he wants to. He's just kind of like planting the seeds. I'm not sure how if he will ever really formally request a trade, unless like say like he stays an extra year and then the team kind of falls off the rails a little bit, injuries or whatever, and they're back in the
Mhm.
lottery again. Because Dame is getting any younger either, so I would feel
Yeah.
even like we can't foresee the future. It's kind of like the same thing with like KD last offseason when like oh this
Mhm.
dude's about to be 34 and it's like he like everybody could assume he's still going to put up great numbers, but how much are you willing
Yeah.
to give up for a aging superstar? And
Yeah.
this is a different situation because Dame's a lot. He's not Kevin Durant. I'm not saying skill level, but I'm term like physically not Kevin Durant. Like
Mhm.
KD could probably be like 38 and he could still get you 20 a game. You know, so
Yeah.
even though Dame's game hasn't been like super like extensively based on his athleticism, it was more him being able to create for others and be able to score. So it's a real interesting dilemma. And even just speaking on the Celtics for a little bit, I don't think the Celtics would be are moving Jalen Brown. Even I believe Brad Stevens came out and said like they want Jalen Brown to stick around. So I like we can talk about the Celtics if you really want to because I feel it's a real interesting situation for their side too. But in terms of Portland, I would say see what you can get. But if not, then hey, see if Scoot drops a three, take them, and then just see where it goes because Dame can will that Portland team to the playoffs
Oh, yeah.
if like all the pieces fall together. He can will that team to a play in or even better than that. But
Mhm.
but yeah, it's a real interesting situation over there in Portland. So but how would you say? Let's speak in hypotheticals real quick. If you were to get traded to the Miami Heat, how like my thing is that like he referenced Bam, like he's saying
Mhm.
like Bam is his boy and everything. You would have to assume like that team, like in order for them to keep Jimmy and Bam and have Damian Lillard on the roster. I know the CBA is all weird and stuff. Do you
Mhm.
think a trade like that could hypothetically happen if he got sent to the Heat?
Ooh, I mean, they would have to give up so much cap, I feel like. Just so much just assets, and I feel like that's not worth it what where the Heat are right now. Like, they are in the NBA finals, and they don't have Dame. And I think, like, you just gotta keep, like, your squad together right now. Because why would you just blow that on just one guy? I think that's so That's just not worth it in today's NBA. Like, especially how we like kind of figured out that the big three era is over. It is over right now. And like you look at both the teams in the NBA finals, like Jokic, and he has co-stars with him. Like he has more almost like role guys because Michael Porter Jr. is not like a superstar, but you have Aaron Gordon, KCP, Murray, like all those guys, Bruce Brown off the bench, and just all those guys. And same thing with the Heat. And I feel like you just can't risk that, especially with the new CBA. It's like you have three guys. That's it. Who is gonna like if one of them gets injured, you are screwed on that. And Dame's injury history, I feel like you just can't go with that. And if I were the Miami Heat, I would put down the phone. You're not taking that call for Dame. I'm sorry.
I mean, I could see that. It's like it's still weird trying to figure out the new CBA, but from my understanding, it is that you can't. They will make it real difficult for you to have three max contract players on your roster. So it seems like they're trying to tailor it to like kind of like the era of dynamic duos. So you get like Tatum and Brown, LeBron and AD,
Yep.
Jimmy and Bam, and like Murray and Jokic. And just to speak on Porter Jr., like I feel that guy has like the potential to be like kind of like take the reins, but he has the potential to be like a 25-point per game scorer if he stays healthy anyway. Because dude's a 6'10" wing shooter, like
Yeah.
that's crazy. But
Yeah.
so I've like it makes it a lot harder for in terms of team building, but I think it seems like they're trying to really hone in on trying to like get home like keep your homegrown stars and kind of like build your talent from the inside instead of like trying to go and get guys on max deals. So I guess I'm not sure how big of a fan I am of it yet. I guess I got to kind of see it kind of in practice because I believe they just agreed upon this like not too long ago. If my sense of time is right, but no, but yeah, in terms of like just thinking about it, like I would make Miami. I don't know how much better it would make Miami to be honest, because then you lose all that depth. And like to your point, like if somebody goes down, then they're kind of like right back to where they're at, just without all their depth guys. Because you would have to assume, say like they were like talking with Portland, they'll be like, oh yeah, that Vincent guy's pretty good. Yeah, let's take him. We'll take here. Like they're gonna just be going on like on a grocery list. Like we'll take Hero,
Yeah.
we'll take Duncan, we'll take this guy, this guy, this guy. But no, but yeah, like the whole Damian Lillard situation is really, really interesting. I don't see him getting moved this offseason. If he were to get moved, I'm not sure about you or really if at all. But
Yeah.
no, but yeah. So I guess it's something to keep an eye on. I'm not sure. Do you want to talk about the Celtics because this is like I thought you were just kind of just I didn't like this is the first time I'm hearing that you're a Celtics fan. I think it's more my own fault not using context clues in the Slack.
Oh,
But
no.
no,
No,
but
we're
yeah,
good.
let's talk about Jalen Brown for a second. Then, like,
Okay.
how you feel about that? How you feel about the whole situation? It's like, yeah, we get bounced out in the conference finals, and then obviously, like the thing for me about Jalen Brown, and it kind of sucks because like I love Jalen Brown as a player. It seems like any time that the Celtics are kind of like their back is against the wall, or it's just like the season doesn't end the way they want it. It seems like going forward, you're always going to see Jalen Brown in like trade rumors, or Jalen Brown might be getting traded for this player. And I feel like it's no fault of his own. It's just like the position he's in, being that second star of that team. But yeah, I want to hear kind of like your thoughts about like the just like the Celtics' situation right now.
Yeah, I mean, I was the one that wrote the post on this and on my opinion on this trade. And I think if I remember it, I said that they should like if they can keep him under the supermax deal. Because won't be able to. I don't want to keep Grant Williams, first of all. I really don't. Like, please don't, Brad Stevens. But just keep the rest of the core intact. Robert Williams, I know he's locked up for a little bit. Smart. I want them to keep Brogdon and Derek White too, if they can, and just keep those guys. Let Pritchard walk because he has no really space in the team. But if you can't, if you have to sign that max contract, ship him off. Like, please.
Really?
Like, yeah. I think I love Jalen. I love Jalen. And I think JB and him, like the Jays, are probably one of the best duos in the NBA. Like the best young duo, in fact. And you just can't afford that with the new CBA. You can't afford that money on your book. 2 supermaxes, and Tatum is eligible for an even bigger contract next season because he made All NBA first team, and he will probably make it again next season. Like, as a Boston fan my whole life, like, I hate seeing this, but I know it's gonna happen. I feel like Brad Stevens is gonna screw up, and keep him and sign that deal. And I know it'll like make a lot of Boston fans pissed, but I think you gotta like just look at it for the future of the team because they're not going to be able to keep any of their core in. And like it's like the same exact situation we talked about with the Heat with Bam, Jimmy, and Dame. You're not going to do that. And Trey come in here says the Celtics should pay Brown. It's not really an argument. It's a matter of if they should pay Brown again 4 years from now.
I mean, he is going to be 27 at the start of the season.
Yeah,
so he's entering his prime now. That if he
Mhm.
signs that contract, that's prime Jaylen Brown you're getting.
Yeah. And I almost think of it as like I feel like right now, like with the struggles he did in the playoffs and almost like inconsistencies, we did not see him as a star. And he was almost that third guy in the playoffs to just Derek White and like Time Lord even. And I know it's kind of crazy to think about, but almost give him a prove it deal. Like right now. Like I know he's entering his prime and he deserves that max, but from what I've seen as a Celtics fan and the inconsistencies and like leading us, he does not deserve that supermax right now. He's a great player, but he does not deserve it on the new CBA deal.
It's a damn shame. Like I'm more agreeing with Trey. I hear your points and I see exactly what you're saying, like in terms of like long term that it could hurt the team.
Mm-hmm.
I feel Jaylen, like the thing is, I've seen Jaylen at his absolute best, and I can't go on just before I can make my point. Trey, in fairness, the entire team was coached by a fourth string coach. He wouldn't perform like that in Miami. I mean, see, like you're not wrong, and it kind of
Great
like
point.
I'm not gonna speak on like the whole like Udoka situation, but it's just the fact I feel like the coaching turmoil that like the Celtics have had the last couple of years, like Brad after the bubble, he really didn't care to coach anymore, and like I can't blame him. And then they brought in Ime, who was I enjoyed Ime as a coach, and like kind of like his fire he brought to coaching, even though it was his first year. He like I remember watching like the first half of that season last year, and like how like kind of like I wouldn't even say how kind of in between he was like in terms of like his personality and stuff, but then you see him like in the finals and the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
like he's like trying to light a fire under their ass. And like I know Missoula was kind of like trying to tap into that, throwing clipboards and stuff like that, but I feel it's like they kind of put him in through the ringer to kind of be like you're a first year coach and you're trying to lead this team to a championship. And I feel just going back to Jaylen though, I would say for him, his biggest thing, it seems to be, I want to say in terms of being a shot creator, but it's really like in terms of the handle. That's what a lot of people have been pointing at, even back to the finals of last year, is that him being able to take care of the ball. Like I feel Jaylen as a shooter and as a scorer has a great body control. When he's feeling
Mm-hmm.
it, this dude's taking some uncomfortable looking shots, but like
Yeah.
it seems like he can control himself so well to be able to knock those shots down. And even like with a hand in his face and everything. Like so Jaylen as a scorer, I have no problem about. It's more about where the Celtics were really turning it around is when Tatum became more of a passer, started unlocking that bigger part of his game, getting himself more assists. Jaylen seems to be like he's kind of like that ISO heavy scorer who can kind of create his own shot. And I'm not saying he needs to evolve his game into like that of Tatum's to like be more of a playmaker. It would be nice, but I would say in terms of being able to take care of the ball is the biggest thing. But yeah, 8 turnovers and then like his plus minus for game 7. I'm as big of a hater of turnovers as the next guy. Believe
Yeah.
me, I had to sit through those 6 games of the NBA Finals last year and just seeing how that team was. I could just see your face in disgust. But if he can just hold it down in terms of taking care of the ball, I think the contract will be worth every penny because I have full faith in Jaylen to kind of refine that part of his game. But to your point, if he doesn't, from my understanding, it feels like you kind of seen like the best that Jaylen has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And like if he doesn't evolve his game, or like say I'm able to see in the future and that's like the reality of it, then I would look to trade him. Like I see your point in terms of what, like in terms of if you had the sign as the Supermax, you would trade him because of the long-term stability of the team, because you wouldn't be able to keep Rob Smart would have to walk, and then they'll kind of like just compromise like just like the prime years of Tatum, because Tatum's 20 going to be 25. I think he just turned 25.
I think
So
he's
like
19.
oh yeah, no,
He's 19.
still only 19. Dude's 6'11", but no, but yeah, look, I have faith that if they sign Jaylen to that Supermax, that he will be worth every penny. So
Yeah.
I even have them if they play their cards right. Those guys are right back in the Eastern Conference Finals again next year, and then contending for a championship if they figure it all out.
Yeah. No, I do like that point. And going back to the Ime thing, and I remember I think it was last season where they were down like by I think 30 to the Spurs. Do you remember that game on home court? And I
Oh
think
my,
Tatum had what he had 60, 50 or 60 that game, and they came back in the third and the fourth. That's what I want to see from Joe Mazzulla. That's what I need to see from Joe Mazzulla if he wants to be the coach. Do I think he's a coach of the future? Absolutely not. From what he showed us, from what he showed us this season, no, he's not the coach of the future. But that's what he needs. Like he needs to have that fire and be more serious. I think he's just such a joking guy. Like watching a movie to prep for the Eastern Conference Finals like 6 times in a day. Like, come on, man, take your job more seriously. You're on the biggest stage of your career right now, and you already got whooped by Jimmy Butler in college at West Virginia. Don't let him do it now. And that's exactly what he did. And
you got to give him credit for being able to work out of a 3-0 lead though, being able
yeah,
to kind of like
oh,
will
I'm
those guys
100%, 100%. I think that. But I mean, I think it's more
overall.
just the players kind of did a lot of that for him necessarily. And in game 7, that collapse and even forcing it to 7 in Philly, that is unacceptable from Missoula, and what I think. And Trey says he is he's an offensive coach. Their defense is broken. They weren't creative offensively outside of chucking up threes.
That you're
That's
not
it right.
wrong with that.
He's not wrong. And that's why I wanted Ime to stay with the Celtics because he was a defensive minded coach. And he's gonna make the Rockets so much better. And I mean, Celtics defense is one of the best of all time. And I feel like if you're the Celtics, you don't need an offensive coach right now. Like I feel like it just kind of messes with their play style almost. And their defense is what makes them great. Because they can be like a fast break team when they want and score based off transition and based off missed shots. And I think that's where the problem is. What Mazzulla needs to go into is being more defensive minded.
Yeah, I feel like I think that's the reason I enjoyed Ime as a coach so much. Uh, Trey, you're not wrong about the Rockets. I would say this about just like the Celtics of last year compared to this year. It seems like when you're a good defensive team, that doesn't even just a matter of getting missed shots and grabbing boards. It's a lot about like the hustle and like how much you want. I feel like better defensive teams play with a lot more heart because it takes, in terms of being a great defender, a lot. I feel like a lot of the time it has to do with how much you want it or
Yeah.
how much effort you're willing to
Mhm.
put in. And I would say compared to like even the Celtics teams of like 4 or 5 years ago when Kyrie was on the team, and you had like Marcus when he was still like 24, and you
Yep.
had like a lot of those kind of like that band of misfit Celtics teams like
Mhm.
2017, 2018, and even earlier than that when they were pretty good, even when IT, like you had guys who wanted. Brad Stevens was such a good defensive coach in terms of being able to have guys like just being able to have guys kind of put their body on the line
Yeah.
for your coach and being able to try to put your team in the best position to win. Like I haven't seen Marcus, like Marcus has kind of been like the only guy to kind of play like that. Now besides Derek White, I'll give Derek White credit
Yeah.
because I think he like knocked his tooth out or something like that
Yeah.
on a play. But just kind of like guys who are willing to kind of like put themselves out there and actually like if you want to go and get it. So I would
Mhm.
say definitely if they can kind of tap into that kind of Celtics team, because I feel like the really good Celtics teams of the last few years have been so great on defense. And it's not even just a matter of forcing guys to miss shots. It's everything else that you can do, fighting for loose balls and like that stuff goes into the offense as well because you get momentum, you got guys feeling it, and then it brings the team together a lot more. And I at least like I enjoy the Celtics the most when they're actually playing like they give a shit.
Yo,
So
yeah.
that's just me, but I feel like there's a lot of things that they'll have to like kind of look forward. Like definitely with that, I really enjoyed the hiring of Sam Cassell. So
Mhm.
I would say that would be something to that's something I would be looking out for come next season. But yeah, most definitely they got to get like some like a top of the line defensive coordinator or just like Missoula got to kind of like tap into himself right now because
Mhm.
the coaching situation has kind of been all over the place. A couple of assistants are going to go work for MA. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I feel like the Celtics team is gonna actually get their identity back next
Mhm.
season, or if not, we're just like it's gonna be like the 2022 season all over again. They start the season like shit.
Yeah.
But I'm just hoping for the best for this damn Celtics team for sure because it's a lot of uncertainty right now.
Yeah. But before we move on from the Celtics, I just want to ask you, Germani, just like, do you think they should bring in just kind of, it's kind of a throwback to one of their, I think, 2015 teams or 2014, but do you think they should get like a guy like Jay Crowder in their team or like even try and bring in PJ Tucker via trade? Do you think that's a good idea to kind of light that fire under them? Because I know we had kind of Semi Ojeleye be one of those dogs, just like kind of go on, scrap, and get a ball. Like that's what I loved about the Celtics back then.
Yeah. Like I enjoyed Sam. He was kind of just like that guy, like the like no name guy that they would put on like all like the better stars to guard them for times. I feel that they really don't have that for the most part. Besides, like they would have like Derek White. But like when they had depth or like what true depth is like guys like that and like guys who are going to like get quality minutes and like and be in there for the long haul for the most part.
Mhm.
But I would say I remember when Jay Crowder was here. I love Jay Crowder. I feel they could use another veteran guy out there, but somebody who can also contribute at the same time, and somebody who can guard like those better wing players. Like another thing though, I feel is that like the not even the big man situation, but I love Al, and like I thought the contract was great when they initially got him way back
Mhm.
when, but I can't put that much on a 37, 38-year-old Al Horford to guard some of the best centers in the league because you saw
Mhm.
how Bam was with him the like during that Eastern Conference Finals. They kind of figured him out a little bit, but for the most part, it was like him. Like I don't trust him guarding Embiid for like the majority of a game. I don't trust him guarding Giannis for the majority of the game. He will have flashes that like he turns back the clock, like even like the postseason last year when he dunked on Giannis, or
Oh yeah.
even this season when he sent Bam's layup back, I believe, or no, it was a dunk attempt
Yeah, it was
in
a dunk.
Miami. So
Mhm.
he shows flashes of him going back to when he was 30 when he initially signed, but there's also times when he plays like a 45-year-old man. So I don't want him to have that much pressure. I feel like they need to address like getting like bigger bodies to be able to guard those guys just to kind of like take the pressure off of him. I love Rob and the way he was being able to show how versatile he is on the defensive end too. But yeah, I feel like somebody like Jay Crowder. I'm not sure about PJ though because it's just like at least watching that Philadelphia series, he kind of like showed me like what kind of player he's going forward. Like the only
Mhm.
thing he's gonna really be able to offer you is like that corner three, and then
Yeah.
other than that, it's like the way I look at it, and like my brother, he's like a big basketball head. He told me that the way PJ Tucker plays defense, he's like, let that guy score 50 on me. Don't worry and don't help. It's like I don't know. He's like kind of like that. He was kind of like how Paul George was for me for a while. He's kind of like that like recognizable player. Obviously, like I'm not trying to compare Paul George to PJ Tucker, but that recognizable player who gets scored on by all the good players, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. You know, if
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like PG was like the top of that category of player. He's always like the superstar that always got scored on the big moments. So
Mhm.
just seeing what PJ offered in the postseason, um, I'm not a big fan. I'd rather go with somebody like Jay Crowder for sure. Like guys like Jay Crowder, like Marcus Morris when he was here, like those guys
Yeah.
I
Oh my
thought were
gosh.
great.
Mhm.
But yeah, to answer your question, like I feel like they need a guy like that, and I think Jay Crowder would be a good option if they could get him.
Yeah.
All right. How'd you feel about that? Could you ask me that question? Let me turn it around on you. Like how I mean, I said my piece about PJ Tucker, but like just tell me.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was kinda, like, just wanting to get into that just because, like we said before, just Celtics need that kinda dog mentality type of guy, and just that's what they were missing this entire season, and I think Jay Crowder would be great, but like you said, just with PJ Tucker, he doesn't offer, like, too much. I just like his kinda mentality and his leadership. I'm not saying, like, playing him a ton, just like, "Oh, go out there, give him 20 minutes." No, I don't want him to do that. I want him to just be on the floor when they need kind of a momentum shift just be like, he's that guy to step up, and he's that leader for the team. So I know we have Smart and Al can be good sometimes, but we just don't have kind of that veteran presence on this young damn team. And I feel like Derek White's like kind of stepped up a little bit, but I feel like when Tatum and Brown are kind of down and out of it in the game, they have no one to really kind of look for. And they're like, bro, just get this shit over with. Like, that's what Tatum was saying in the middle of like I think game 3. And I was like, you can't have that mentality going forward. And that's what they need with like a PJ Tucker, a Jay Crowder, just some leader on their team that can really provide a spark for them.
It's crazy. I remember. Do you remember the 2018 Celtics? I remember when these guys there'd be many games that they would be down like 15 to 20, and you weren't worried about them being able to at least come
Mhm.
back and like cut it close anyway.
Yeah.
And like I miss those kinds because it made every game kind of must watch, depending no matter who they were playing against. It could be the
Mhm.
best team in the league. Like that game with the Rockets when Harden got those two offensive fouls on
Oh,
Marcus.
and Smart threw it off the rim and kicked it out to Jalen, or was it
I
Jalen or
think I
Tatum?
no, it wasn't that one. You're thinking I know exactly which one you're thinking about. But yeah, but like even something like that. I was thinking of
Yeah.
more of the one when Kyrie was still on the team and Chris Paul didn't play and they were down by like 20 something and like these guys kind of went on a run and Smart forced Harden the two offensive fouls like at the
Yeah.
tip.
No, yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. Where he kinda off the inbound, he, like, just kinda Harden put a shoulder in him, and he just, like, went down and
Yeah,
catch
yeah,
him. Yep,
exactly. But I
exactly what
remember
you're
what
talking
game you're
about.
talking about too. When Jalen was the one who actually no, Jalen wasn't the one who took the free throw. I think it was Marcus. You were right, and then got the free throw, got his own board, threw it back to Jalen, and they hit it. But like just games like that kind of team is something that's like my favorite kind of Celtics team. Like these guys will fight till the very end, and I did not see that in the Eastern Conference Finals. I at least give them credit for coming back 3-0. But yeah, at least for me, I was anticipating them making it to the finals. But I mean, it's neither here or there anymore. But no, but yeah, I mean, okay. So we talked about a little bit of Game 3 today. We talked about Dame's potential trade, not situation. Well, his trade situation in terms of Portland
Mhm.
potentially maybe going to Miami, but at least like if he had any say about it. And we also talked a little bit about the Celtics. I know you did say that they revealed going into gaming a little bit, you did the Madden and EA did reveal the Madden cover athlete. So why don't you just dive into that a little bit and just give me your thoughts? Have you played Madden? How big a fan are you of the gaming series? If you did play,
Oh, yeah, I wasn't, I played Madden on the Wii, like, I think it was Drew Brees on the cover in '08 or '09, I'm pretty sure, around that time. But I loved that game back then, but besides the point, this year's cover athlete is Josh Allen. I think it's kinda deserving. I mean, he's been kind of the spotlight player, but he hasn't done anything, and I saw a lot of Jets fans comment, "Please bring back the Madden curse," just because of his running. I'm like, "Wow, that's kinda cold."
mm,
But Josh Allen is the Madden cover for Madden 24, but I like the I like the idea of it. I think it could have been to someone better. Maybe
who do you
like
think?
oh, I would have to like think of it a little bit, but I feel like Josh Allen is a marketable player, but he hasn't done anything. That is not a wild take. He hasn't been a single Super Bowl. He hasn't shown really like I feel like done an excellent MVP season. He's a leader of turnovers in the red zone, Trey. I mean, what else more do you want? He's a great marketable player, but the Bills haven't taken that next step. It's kind of like what the Ravens have done with Lamar Jackson. That's that's my take on it. He kind of hasn't done much.
Mm, there you go. I mean, in terms of like just Madden as like a game overall, like how do you feel has it changed or not changed? Like what's your like thoughts of like just the game state right now after getting Trey's rebuttal here?
He's thrown for at
He's
least
throwing
35 touchdowns each season over the last 3 years. What has he done in the playoffs? What has he done in the playoffs, Trey? I think you can shut me up when the Bills actually do something this year, if they do something. But right now, I feel like you are wrong in this scenario. He's a great player, but he hasn't done anything when it matters most. That's what I'm saying.
would you say he was deserving enough of the cover athlete at least?
Oh, he is. Oh, yes.
Okay.
He's deserving enough for the cover
Okay.
athlete, of course.
Mm,
But I mean, like I said, he's a very marketable player and one of the best players in the NFL, but he hasn't done too much. And I feel like that's not really just a bold take. I don't think that's a hot take at all. He's thrown for all the stats, but he's thrown for millions of touchdowns. And when you actually break down the game, he's done it in bad scenarios. Like, look at the Dolphins game last season. They should not have came like the Dolphins should not have come back in that. And that's what I'm saying.
I would 17-4.
Whatever. Okay. I just
I would say what does he need to do to kind of like persuade like kind of like yeah just like kind of persuade you into like kind of being a bigger fan of him? Because it seems like there's just like this not animosity, but also you said he hasn't done anything. Like, what does he need to do?
He needs I think he needs to just first of all, he's gonna win his division this year. Bills will win it. I don't believe in the Aaron Rodgers hype that much, but I think he needs to get past Mahomes and go to the Super Bowl. I think when he gets like a taste of that, I will kind of start to respect him more. But I do think he's a great player. But Trey, I think you're kind of wild for saying he hasn't done anything as a wild take. He hasn't won anything, is what I'm saying. Putting up meaningless stats in the regular season, not doing it like not going into it like with a big game and just kind of actually pushing your team over to a Super Bowl is what I need to see from him. And I think that's what he should and will do this season. So is that fair? I think that's totally fair.
I mean, just gotta wait and see. I mean, but it seems like you. So I mean, I'm not the biggest football guy, but I'm assuming like the Bills, if like they play their cards right, they're a championship contender.
Oh yeah, they are. They've been
Okay.
kind of on the bubble for past two years now, I would say, and I just feel like they haven't gotten able to get over that hump right now. And I think if they do that, like so many other teams, then I think that's what they're capable of winning, becoming a dynasty essentially, like the Chiefs, and just kind of winning Super Bowls. So
Okay. Just kind of like just speak on Madden as a game. I'm not sure. Have you been playing the recent recent installments of the game, or kind of like was like after like 08?
I think I don't really have like Madden on like my Xbox. I was a big Madden mobile guy though. Huge Madden mobile guy.
Is there any particular reason why like you kind of like that's kind of like Madden has kind of been in your rotation of games?
I mean, I think it's just like it's so not like toxic in a sense, but it's just like it's gotten so much worse and like the pay to win and like it's the same game over and over again. And why would I pay for like another game when it's just gonna be the same thing as next year's model and next year's just with updated rosters when you can update rosters on your own time with like in certain draft classes too. So it's just give me something more from the previous year.
Yeah, I feel like it's a whole discussion that could be had with just like a lot of games in general. But going back to to Allen here, Trey again, not fair. One QB wins the Super Bowl. He won the AFC East back-to-back years. AFC is loaded.
I mean, he's won the AFC East. Tua and Mac Jones and the Jets with Zach Wilson. I think this year's a conversation where it's like meaningful, but right now, like, dude, he hasn't done really too much. He just put up stats, Trey. I feel like there's nothing else to really say to you right now. I don't get it. I just feel like Trey, I'm sticking up for myself. Trey is wrong in this scenario, and I just want him to win, and he hasn't done that. I think it's not hard to understand.
We're saying all this now, and then the dude has an MVP performance this year.
Just he needs an MVP. I would love for Josh Allen to prove me wrong. I don't hate him as a player. I think he's a great player, and I don't necessarily like him. He's just there, kind of. But win an MVP, just kind of win a Super Bowl if possible. Just get to the Super Bowl actually, and then I can say I'm wrong. I will put an apology post on Vendetta.
Where do you rank him as amongst the top QBs then?
Oh, I think right now he's probably 2.
Really?
He's one behind Mahomes, I think.
Oh, okay.
He's 2 or 3.
So. All right, so okay. Oh, we got Trey again.
Oh my gosh, Trey. I'm not arguing with you on his strength and that man's cannon. I know he can throw far and that his arm's as good as Mahomes. But have him win something, Trey. He has no accolades. He has an AFC East 2 division titles. They've been awful for the past 5 years. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, just staying on the topic of QBs. Give me your top 5 because all right, so hasn't done anything. He's rated second for you. Now you don't make sense.
What are you saying? I'm not listening to that.
Okay.
I'm not listening to that.
Well, give me your top 5. Just kind of wrap
QBs.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mahomes is obviously 1. I would say I'm gonna go with Burrow over Allen. I think that might be crazy, but just for the topic of hand, just for the topic of hand,
Okay, so
Trey,
now do you
Trey,
slid him down to 3?
yeah, Allen at 3. Say right now, I'm just going off the top of my head.
Yeah,
Hurts proved himself to be at 4,
I feel
and
like he could
then
have made a really
5.
nice Madden cover.
Ooh, I can't. I need like a list of Q. I'll look up at QBs and I need to see like the guys on actually scan. But thanks Trey for the winning percentage stat. Hmm.
Wait, like who's your go-to? Like who's your team if you have one? Is it Pats or
No,
okay?
no. It's Trey's gonna roast me on this and be like, "Oh, you're a Cowboys and a Vikings fan." Yeah, I am.
Oh my god!
So I'm deep in pain right now.
I can
Uh,
only imagine.
man, I do not know. This list is tough.
You got Tua, you got Rodgers, you got
No, Tua.
no. Hey, I'm just throwing. This is the
Okay,
NFL
okay,
casual talking. Okay,
okay. I mean Herbert's up there. I don't know if he's 5, but that's all I can think of right now. I feel like those top 4, and then there's like a tier below everyone else.
okay. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. That made for some entertaining a couple minutes right there. Thanks, Trey. That was awesome. No, but yeah, okay. So we talked about NBA stuff. We talked about the finals. We talked about the Celtics a little bit and like their whole situation, like Damian Lillard, what his future could be like. Spoke about Josh Allen in making the Madden 24 cover and a nice back and forth between Griffin and Trey about Josh Allen as a talent. But I mean, anything else you want to add in, Griff? I'm all ears. I've kind of like touched upon all my bases.
I'm good right now.
You're good.
I'm good. I'm
You and
great.
Trey are gonna have a talk when the camera shuts off.
He's gonna scold me.
Oh my goodness!
You
But
don't know ball.
he's like, you don't know. Oh man, no, but all right, Griffin. It's been great. We're kind of pushing. Like we got a few more minutes until the hour mark, but I'd say it'd be good to call it there. But hey, this is the first. Like this is the first time you and me kind of been able to do this together. It was fun. I thought it was great. No, but yeah. Any hot takes you want to do before we sign off?
Ooh.
Put some respect on Josh Allen. Oh my God!
I respect
you
Josh
struck a
Allen,
chord.
but I need him to win. He's number 2 or 3. He's interchangeable with Joe Burrow. But
Okay.
the only thing putting Joe Burrow over him right now for me is that he has a Super Bowl appearance, and that's it. If Josh Allen can get over the Super Bowl, he's over him right now. I think that's where I stand, and I think that's a very fair take.
That's your take to kind of cap off everything. It's just
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Trey a little bit if he wants to rebuttal. I feel like if I keep allowing that to happen, it's gonna go on forever.
I know.
But I'm here for it.
I know Trey's gonna instantly put this in Slack.
He's like, "Do you see this shit?" He said that shit was disrespectful.
This is ridiculous.
Oh my goodness, this has been great. This is awesome. And like, at least for me, I like my thing about like just trying to get into the NFL. Like, what's just somebody like just speaking for like the NFL casuals here? What's like the one thing that like somebody can do to kind of like get themselves into following NFL?
Okay, Trey. I was at Contradict City. I respect him. I respect him as a player, and I don't know what more you want from me. He's just it all stemmed from the Madden cover. He's deserving the cover, but he needs to win more. That's all I'm saying, Trey.
How long he's been in the league?
He's been in the league for 4 or 5 years, I think.
Okay. Like, see, I want like, oh man, I really want to get into football, but I feel like the thing that really like kind of turns me away from it is like it feels like there's so like the fact that they have like so many players and like there's I feel like there's so much going. Like I need like some help of trying to like find my way to kind of like get involved, or not even get involved, but like what's like if you could kind of put like what like the first step of like understanding like the NFL, not even the game of football, but just NFL, or like beginning to follow like the league.
I think you just gotta Okay, never mind, Trey. You don't need to bring that up. But I think if you want to get into the NFL, I think it's just a matter of just like kind of watching it and just understanding the rest of the players.
So
And
it's just a
just
matter of just turning the TV on.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I
Dan
mean,
Marino, no Super Bowl ring, guy sucks. That's not what I'm saying, Trey. You overhype him. I'm sorry. The dude hasn't done anything. He could have done it against Joe Burrow, and he threw for a pick and played like dog water.
damn.
Like, what else in last year's divisional? So, Trent Dilfer, Josh Allen. That's not what I'm saying.
Oh my god. Oh man. Oh man. Okay.
All right,
So, anything else if you want to add, Grip, I'm all good.
I'm good.
Okay, let's get you
I'm
out.
waiting for Trey's response in Slack.
Let's get you out of here. No, but seriously, Griff, it's a great time. These last like 10, 15 minutes have been great. Just bring up the name Josh Allen from now on. We'll get a back and forth between you and Trey. But no, but seriously, it's been great. Yeah, hopefully. So pretty much everybody stay safe out there, and Josh Allen got to win MVP this year if you want Griff to be behind you on the hype train. But other than that, I've been Jermaine Depenian. That's been Griffin Kress. I hope you guys all enjoyed the Vendetta Sports Daily Show today. If you guys want to show your support, follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel and check us out on Twitch. And also check us out on vendettasportsmedia.com to see Griffin with his NFL post and the potential apology post of Josh Allen if he wins the MVP or even goes to the Super Bowl. But a lot of great content over there on vendettasportsmedia.com, so make sure to go check that out. But with all that being said, everybody stay safe out there, and we'll catch you all next time.